Welcome back. Welcome back. Last time we were together, the content centered on this amazing technological innovation called indexing. This is the technology, the big idea that has made Google the powerful search engine that it is. And I'm going to be talking more about Google and the way that we can use it soon. But I also, in the last session, introduced some programs, specifically Foxtrot Professional Search, that can index your hard drive, scrolling, making a note of absolutely every word in specific folders that you tell it to index, that will allow you to do detailed searches, specific phrases, for example, and the results will allow you to find these things on your hard drive real fast without the old way of just opening every one and having to search for them. So I hope that you found that as cool as I thought it would be. Now, today's session is going to be about the internet. Now, okay, so this is going to be relatively short because you guys are all digital natives and you're probably thinking, why do we have any time? Why are we wasting any time talking about the internet? Well, the reason is that, again, I think that it is possible that some of you are very good at using the internet as a toy, but not particularly as a tool to help you in your studies, whether you be an undergraduate student or a postgraduate student, regardless of where you're studying, regardless of your level. We need to learn to use our computers and the internet as tools, not toys. So let's get started. Again, we will be doing some more sessions on this in the future, but to repeat what I said before, if you have it is quite possible. I meet lots and lots of students who know how to find their way around Google and they know their way around the internet, but they have not spent that much time on the university library's website. They may not have signed up to all of the facilities that they are paying to have access to. They may not be able to download articles and even entire ebooks off the university website because they find it too intimidating or they think they can find everything on the internet. So the many of the facilities that the Thammasat University Library offer you are internet based, and it is possible that you have not got around to signing up to all of the facilities. Maybe you need to take your laptop to the library and ask them, for example, to download proxies so that you can access the website while you're at home. Okay, so I'm going to be talking a bit about ebooks here and a bit later. Remember, this is one of the important building blocks, main building blocks in this, the electronic books, which are important building blocks in this electronic course, which is primarily a directed reading course. The standard format for reading ebooks are PDFs, and I'll be talking about best practices for using PDFs, storing them, manipulating them, and the right programs to be using a bit later on. Google Books is presumably a site that you are familiar with. Many people do all of their searches just in Google, but you can choose to go to the website Google Books, which will narrow down the results to not all scholarly, but books which Google has scanned, because they, a number of years ago, negotiated access to libraries with big collections and with a number of other publishers that allow them to scan entire books, and they make certain sections of that book available. Not all publishers have this agreement with Google, but this is a very powerful way when we are initially doing a search for resources. Perhaps if we are working on a literature review, this could be one of the first ways, I would hope, after you've gone to your local library, one of the first ways that you can do a trawl through the internet for books that are relevant to your needs. And I'm going to be talking about how to make a list, keep a track of the resources that you have isolated, that you have found using Google Books. You are able, with the help of a number of free programs, to download previews of certain books. Not all, but some. And in some cases, in an edited volume, you can actually download the first 2 chapters of an edited volume, which means you get the introduction, where the main arguments and contributions are provided, and then you have the opportunity maybe to see 1 or 2 other chapters. You can usually see more on what you can download in terms of a preview from Google Books is almost always not as much as what you can have access to by searching online. And this is a very powerful way if you are Googling key terms and phrases in Google Books. This is a very powerful way for you to isolate books that are going to be relevant to what you're looking for. And another thing which is useful is that the Google search will also provide suggestions of other similar books with similar keywords and phrases to the one that they have just shown you in the search result. And another more specific scholarly tool for Google is Google Scholar. And so my suggestion, and there's a couple of reasons why I strongly advise people to search for articles on Google Scholar. This is no substitute to learning the databases that you have access to at the university library. But one of the most powerful ways, facilities of Google Scholar is not only does it provide access to open source journal articles, but significantly, you are also able to locate, download, copy and paste and download citations that you can use with EndNote. And I will give you a demonstration about that. I will be demonstrating how you do this just a bit later on. Another internet resource which you may want to explore doing is Kindles and Kindle converters. I personally barely use my Kindle, but especially if I am wanting to buy a recently published book that I'm wanting to read to do a book review, sometimes the easiest way for me to access this book is to buy the Kindle version. Now, there are programs that you can download which will allow you to manipulate the digital rights management and allow you to export the Kindle book into a format that you can put onto your hard drive, that you can index, that you can highlight, that you can annotate, that you can export as a Word document. This is another very powerful tool. The other aspect of the internet, another website which is gaining traction, there's another website called ResearchGate. ResearchGate and academia.edu, they are very similar in their format and the way they work and the way they make stuff available. But this is basically Facebook for scholars. Academia.edu, check it out. It has a number of functions, and there are a number of advantages in using this. So one of the main functions is, now I don't use Facebook. I don't use any social media, which I realise in this day and age is a bit of an oddity. But yes, guilty as charged. But those of you who are familiar with social media in the ways that I'm not will recognise some of the functions of academia.edu. You set up a profile, you state your research interests, the topics that you are interested in. If you've written papers, you can upload those. But the most powerful feature is that if you indicate an interest to specific topics, you will receive notifications of scholars who have recently published something on that topic. Similarly, if you know writers, authors, academics, scholars, and local researchers who may not be part of the university system, who have an academia.edu, what you can do is to follow them, and every time they upload a new article, write a new book, give a new conference talk, you will receive a notification about this having happened. And it's also, if you don't have access to a library, and you do have access to a library, so you don't actually need to use academia.edu for this. But let's just say, for example, you've graduated, you don't have access to a library, and you're wanting to keep up to date with what people are writing. Maybe the dean, John Anuson Uno, writes a new article and he puts it on academia.edu. You're no longer registered at the university, you can't go to the library, but you can access this article if you have got an account and if you have followed him. So I won't show you my profile because it's not particularly interesting. You can look at that if you are either interested or have got too much time on your hands. So academia.edu is another way for students and for academics to use the internet as a toy, not as a tool. So that was a very brief introduction about how to make the most of the internet, something that we're very familiar with in using as a toy, but to use this as a tool as we are studying courses, even electronic courses like this one. So thanks heaps. It's been good being with you, and stay tuned for the next webinar, the next lecture in the series looking at study skills and IT skills. Thanks again.